Professor Amilung sent a response to the planning department saying, look, this is what I showed you with my comments. Since PGV got on site, the fissure line is subsiding. Once they started pumping the water, it's cold, the ground gets brittle, and it's subsiding right there in the fissure line. Well, since then, now it's up to December 26, 2023. What's now happening is not only is there subsidence, but the northwest is kind of staying in the same place, but the south flank right here near PGV is actually slumping faster, and he says it's been displaced about 6 centimeters of subsidence and 4 centimeters east-west displacement have occurred since late 2020. The onset of displacement appears to coincide with the resumption of geothermal production, suggesting that the subsidence is due to cooling contractions of the basalt, instigated by the injection and circulation of water. Okay, this is the most likely explanation. However, please note that east-west displacement signal has similarities to a creeping fault, but without a detailed investigation, it can't be ruled out the stress that's being accumulated could be released eventually with a moderate 4 to 5 magnitude earthquake. The seismic data from PGV could help to illuminate whether this hazard exists. So I don't know, in the environmental impact statement, PGV admitted they have a seismic array, and they say they have a 8 seismometer array, but Professor Amilung notes, the EIS states that only event-detected time segments are stored. This is not optimal. Continuous readings would allow us to utilize a data analysis technique known as ambient noise interferometry to search for changes in the seismic velocities related to the geothermal production. I strongly recommend archiving continuous readings. In addition, injection and pumping records and production information for PGV needs to be made more openly available. Currently, it's only available via UEPA request. Not FOIA requests, but we've been making them. Larry and I have been working on that. We have to do a Freedom of Information request to the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and then they, will send us a couple months of the data. So, this is really important. We brought this up to Zendo-Kern, the planning department. It's been brought up to the health department, who has an underground injection control permits. They just give PGV whatever they want. The DLNR, they've allowed them to drill up to 28 wells. The EPA has granted PGV up to 30 wells, and there's not even any seismic monitoring. I mean, you had the eruption come right out of their border. You see all the earthquakes that happen right when they're putting water in, but nobody will investigate it. And now they want 35 more year contract. The PUC's already approved it. They said, well, if you guys do an environmental impact statement, it's rubber stamped already. So PGV also is having problems generating electricity. Their environmental impact statement says they've generated, 38 megawatts and for all this time, but really, well, we figured out it was 1 year out of this whole 30 years or however long they've been in production. One time they met their quota, and that's right when they had ramped it up so hard, it blew out, the eruption happened. So we believe it's connected. And the reason they're so irritated and why they won't is because they won't admit that there's any, they say there's no impact from the geothermal. These are earthquakes. There was only 2 studies ever allowed by PGV. They allowed, in 1993, they allowed some guys doing their thesis, Cooper and Dussman. they came out and they found all these, you know, a lot of earthquakes in this area. PGV was drilling and the whole thing. So in 2006 to 2009, lady Catherine Kennedy came out and she was doing her thesis and she recorded 6,000 earthquakes, most likely from geothermal operations. And so USGS does not pick any of this up. They act like it's not happening because we can't see it. So nothing's happening in the lower East Rift Zone. And we are really tired of it. And that's why I've been pursuing my lawsuit. And I've been so voracious, you know, going against all my elected and appointed officials. It's just terrible. And I thank you for letting me have this opportunity. Aloha.
Aloha. My name is Larry Wood. I'm here today to talk about the geothermal plant on the eastern tip of the Big Island known as Puna Geothermal.